November 28th, 2020, continuing our conversation in Mesilat Yesharim by the Ramchal. So we're up to Perek Shalishi, the third Perek list. Shiur, we spoke about Zehirut, which literally means like vigilance or being excited in your actions, or careful, actually, better word, careful in our actions. And this chapter is going to discuss how to acquire that type of character trait so that we're careful in things that we do to make sure we're following the right path in life. Here we go. Hine. I'll just get myself acclimated here, get my pointer going. Okay, good. Hine. A guy who wants to inspect himself, look into himself. He needs to have two perspectives, or two things he's going to be looking at. The first one. First thing is, you need to decide what is the right thing for a person to be doing. What's the tov ha'amiti, the absolute truth. The hara ha'amiti she'enus mimena. And the opposite, right? That which is absolutely bad that you want to run away from. So I need to know where I'm running to. I need to know where I'm running from. That's step one. Hashiniya, the second thing is, my actions. So I need to know where is absolute good. I need to know where is absolute bad, and then I need to determine if the actions that I'm involved in right now I'm on the path going towards good, right, or towards bad. Says that Ramchal, this is not only talking about while you're active doing something, this is actually before, even before. So bishat maaseh means while I'm active. Shelo b'shat maaseh could mean before I did the action or even after I did the action. And I need to do this weights and measurements of this calculation at all times, pretty much. Bishat maaseh, when I'm active, I'm doing something. Okay, I'm whatever, pick something. I'm in work. Shelo yaseh shum maaseh b'li sheyishkol oto b'moznei zot hayedi'ah. I shouldn't act at all until I've weighed the action I'm about to do on the scale that I've just set up. The scale is absolute good is on one side, absolute bad is on the other side, and I want to put this weight of this action I'm about to do on the scale. Does it fit? Is it going to tilt the scale to good, or is it going the other direction? V'shelo b'shat maaseh. Now, afterwards or before, ya'aleh lefanav zichron. He's talking about afterwards. Afterwards, I should remember klal ma'asav, everything that I did. I should put it back on the scale again. If I have something bad in there that I want to, get rid of, get off my scale. So what I want to do is collectively look at my actions afterwards and say, well, okay, I have all these things on my scale today, and these are the really good ones that I want to keep up. And these are the ones that I want to get rid of. Okay, right. Right, the ones that are good, I want to continue to keep those going. I want to basically keep my good habits up, and I want to get rid of the bad habits. Now, if I find something among the on the scale min hara, right, that I shouldn't have done, I need to stop and think for a minute. Is it tahbula ya'aseh? I need to figure out a way to trick myself to make sure that I never fall down that path again. So I went through my day. I was weighing things along the way. I'm thinking about this action. Can I do it? Can I not do it? And I thought about it, and I did it, and I did it. And at the end of the day now, and I look at all these things that I've done today, and I say, okay, well, I have, a bunch of things on the side that are good. I went to shul, I went to class, I read something on the train, I had some good thoughts, whatever. And then I have some things that I shouldn't have done. Maybe I looked at something I shouldn't have looked at. Maybe I ate something I shouldn't have ate. Whatever I did, at the end of the day now, I'm taking accounting of myself, and I say, well, you know what? These things that I did good, I need to continue to make sure I do that. And the ones that are on the side that are things I shouldn't have done, well, I need to figure out a way to trick myself to make sure that doesn't happen again. He says this idea, right, that I'm talking about of keeping my actions in check is something that was taught by our rabbis. Where it's Gemara Masechet Eruvin Yud Gimel Amud Bet says over there, Noach lo la'adam Shelo nivra yoter min shivra. It's actually Gemara starts out like this. The Gemara over there says Shtayim shanim v'mechsa. There was a machloket between Bet Hillel and Bet Shammai, and they're going back and forth. Is it better for the person to have been created, or not better for the person to be created? Bet Shammai was on the side of it's not better. Bet Hillel was on the better, and they went back and forth for 2.5 years. They were arguing: it's better to be born or not to be born. At the end, the Gemara says they got together and they voted and they decided it was better not to have been created. We would have been better off staying in Shammai. But now that we've been created, I'm going to read up from there. This is picking up in the middle. Noach no la Adam shelo nivra. It was better that they would have been not been born. Ve'achshav shenivra. However, now that we were born, the Gemara says yepashpesh b'ma'asav ve'ika de'amre yemashmesh b'ma'asav. Okay, so yepashpesh is to check, and to yemashmesh is to feel. So there's two lashon in the Gemara, two different statements. They're not sure which one was made, or maybe both were made. We'll see in a minute. But that was what said. They voted. They decided better not to be born. Now that we're born, we're here already. It's too late. You know, if we had an option before we came down to the world, then we should have chosen to keep me where I am. Don't send me down there. But now that we've chosen to be down here already, well, now what do we do? So either you pashpish, right, investigate, check your actions, or yimashmish, feel them. He's going to explain those two statements. He says, Vitir'eh, he says, you'll see, Sheshnei alishonot alanu, hem shte azharot tovot o me'ilot me'od. These are two good pieces of advice that are very beneficial. Kihine, he says, check out, hapishpush b'ma'asim. What does it mean, lepashpesh b'ma'asim, which I've defined so far as checking into, investigating. He says, hu lahkor, right, to check into, to investigate. Al klal ha'ma'asim v'litponen bo. Right, I got to look into all my actions and I need to think about them. Hanimsa b'hem ma'asim asher lo yasu. Did I do some things in there that I shouldn't have done? Asher enam holchim al pi Hashem, al pi mitzvot Hashem v'chukav. Maybe I went against some of the mitzvot. I did something I really shouldn't have done. Is that what's in this list of things that I've done over here? Ki kol asher yimatzeh mehem ele yiba'arim. Right? If I find any of those in my list, I better just, destroy them. Mina olam. I got to get rid of them totally. Okay. Ach hamishmush. So that's yipashpesh. Yipashpesh is I pick up this action I just did and I investigate it. Is it the right thing to do? Is it not the right thing to do? If it's the wrong thing to do, well, I better discard it, throw it down the garbage disposal, flip the switch, and let's get rid of this thing right now. Ach hamishmush. What's mishmush? Which is right. Lemashmesh means to feel. Hu hakira afilu b'ma'asim atovim. He says that is to look into even the positive things that you've done, right? Atzmam, those things. Lahakor bilirot, right? You better look into them really good now. Hayesh be'inyanam eze pniya asher lo tova, or eze chelik ra shishtarech lahasirol va'aro. Which means like this. Even the positive actions I've done, what was the motivation behind it? Is there something in that action that that even though that what I did was proper, was there something I shouldn't have done along the way? Maybe I did it too much in public. I wanted people to see. I'm trying to build a reputation, or whatever the reason is. Is there something in that positive action that also has a problem? I got to get rid of that too, also, because I want my actions to be complete, to be perfect. So I not only the ones that are simple to throw off the scale, get rid of this crap, this is garbage, I'll get out of here. What I do this for? Oh, I got to get that off the scale. But he's saying even the ones that look at first glance, right, that are good, better start to feel them. And you feel any bumps in there? Is it really all smooth? Is something going on? It's like you're checking your garment, right? You don't want to know. Is it worn out? How's it feel? Is it strong? You pull on a little bit. Are the seams going to snap? Are going to rip? Or it's really nice and strong? You should look into your actions. To check. Right? What you want to do is purify those positive actions as much as you can until they're completely clean and pure. Klal hadavar, says general rule now. Right? A person needs to really be cognizant of things that he's doing, because a lot of times we just walk through life and we just go with the flow, we just let it happen and we don't think about it. He says that's not the way to live. You need to be cognizant and attent of what's going on around you and how you're acting. Because you could fall into this trap of bad habits. You don't want bad habits to happen or bad character traits. I mean, he's not even talking about, that you don't want to, come to sin. That's without saying. But even just a bad habit that we have to be careful from, and therefore you want to stop it before it starts, right? The Hinini says, how now I see. It's sorech la'adam sheyeh medakdek v'shochel derachav devar yom b'yomo kesoharim hagedolim. He says, I think the proper thing to do is for a person to daily to investigate his actions of the day, right? At the end of the day, like merchants do, these big merchants, asher yifalsu tamid al iskehem leman lo yitkalkelu, right? You do weekly sales meetings in your office to make sure everything's going on right way. You do whatever quarterly financial statements to make sure things are going on. Who knows? We're taking inventory every whatever the number of days is, depending on how fast you turn your inventory. But you're always accounting for your business transactions. That's the way you need to account for your life. He says you should set aside time, sha'ot lezeh, right? Whatever it takes, whatever time you need. Shelo yeh mishkalo aray. We don't want it to be, just a happenstance. Oh, you know what? I just remembered today. Let me think about what I've been doing. No. It needs to be on a fixed schedule. Put it on your calendar, right? Go in there and set yourself a calendar every 2 weeks. I'm going to make an accounting. Or if that's too long, you can't remember, either keep a journal or do it weekly, do it daily, whatever time it takes, but set it on your calendar. He says it has to be a fixed time. It's going to give you, tremendous benefits. Okay, the outcome of being able to do this constant basis is going to help you to get yourself on the path of zehirut, being careful. We're talking about right now. Okay, our rabbis, okay, I read this, a couple of days back before I gave the Terashah last week, and I almost fell out of my chair because it's almost exactly what I was talking about. So he says, our rabbis, right, gave us this explicit instructions to do this calculation. Vehu ma she'amru zichronam levaracha, al ken yomeru hamoshelim bo'u hashbon. So actually, they're playing on words, right? This is the part of the nivuah of Bil'am. And he's Cheshbon is the name of a place, right? But they're reading into it. This is what the Moshelim, the people that are Moshel on themselves, they say, come to Cheshbon calculations. Al ken yomru hamoshelim biyotzram. Explains you those that are Moshel on their Yetzer Hara. You know what they tell you? Bo'u nehashev hashbono shel olam. Let's go do this calculations, right, of what we're doing in this world, of what we're going on. Hefsed mitzvah keneged schara, uschar avera keneged hefseda. Right? I want to sit here and measure. I want to do this mitzvah. If I don't do the mitzvah, well, what's the reward I'm not going to get? How about the avera? What am I going to get from the sin of doing this? The punishment of doing this sin. Notice the word they're using is heshbon. Right? So I was talking about. I forgot what day it was. Oh, it was Saturday night. We talked about one of the things that Kavya ben Mahalalel said, right? Hashbon is this, as he's talking about, this calculations of lost opportunities, missed chances to do a mitzvah, right? This idea, this good advice, he says the only one that can give you this advice to tell you that you should be doing this in your life is someone who's already done it and removed the Yetzer Hara obstacle from their way. And he's going to explain that in a second. A person who's still chained by his Yetzer Hara, and enav ro'ot ha'emet. You cannot see truth. Azot ve'eno yachol hakira. It's like, you're going to see, he's going to make an analogy to a blind person in a minute, but he's saying that you can't see the truth. When your Yetzer Hara is controlling you, you're not able to see, the good that you're supposed to see. Ki hayetzer, what does he do? Mesameh et enav mamash. He makes you blind. It's like a person's working in the dark. Sheyesh lefanav mechsholot. There are obstacles in front of you. You just can't see them. Okay. Vehu says, what do I mean by that? Tashet choshech vayilala, right? That's pasuk, from Barachi Nafshi, right? Tashet choshech vayilala, right? That's the darkness. The darkness came and it's night. What does it mean? What does it mean? He says, it's a reference to this world, which is like the darkness, because we don't see a lot of things. Obviously, our eyes have been covered from seeing things. He says, understand. Kama nifla ha'ma'amara amiti hazeh. If you sit to think about what it means, Tashet Choshech Vahilayla, he says you'll understand the deep meaning. He says he's going to explain it to us. Right? Halayla, when it's darkness of night, there are two possible things or mistakes that can happen. Right? For your eyes. What is going to happen in the darkness of night that you're going to have two issues with your eyes? It says, one possibility, it's so dark you can't see anything. Cloud, pitch black, right? Or sometimes it's not pitch black, but you can make out shapes, and you think what you see is something that you recognize, and then when you get closer, you see that that's not what it is, right? And your eyes are playing tricks on you. Okay. He says so too, right? The materialism of this world is like this night that we're talking about. It is the night, right? The darkness for your eyes of your sechel, of your knowledge, of your understanding. That night, this world causes us two errors. We don't see the obstacles that are in our way. Right? The guy who's not paying attention in life, Peti, is a guy like a simple guy. He's walking along, doesn't take any calculations of his actions or his life, doesn't do anything, just keeps on going, going with the flow. Eventually the flow is going to hit a pothole, right? Or a sinkhole for that matter. Finish, it's over. Right? It's going to fall. He's going to fall down there, and he's not going to even be afraid. They didn't have a chance to be afraid because he just walked and fell down. Pasuk in Mishlei that says that the pathways of the Rasha are like darkness. That's the end of the pasuk. They don't know where they're going to fall. So that's this idea that he's giving us so far, that your person can be going through life, and life in this world is the darkness that he doesn't see where the obstacles are, and before he knows, it's too late. Ve'omer, another pasuk, arum ra'a v'nistar upta'im abru v'ne'enashu. Right, again, the poor guy, he's walking naked. Again, he's arum, he doesn't know what's flying, right? And nistar is like hidden for everything. The ra'a is nistar from him, and he's a petty, again, a simpleton, and he's going to get punished at the end because he was paying attention. Ve'omer, another pasuk, uchsil mit'aber uboteach, right? The simple person, the fool, right, is going along and he's satisfied. He's actually batuach means not satisfied. He's boteach. He has faith. Okay. Anyway, kilibam bari lahem keulam benoflim terem yed'u mehamechshol klal. Right? They don't know what's happening before they know it. Boom, it's done. It's all too late. They got a big problem. Okay, so that's the first issue that we're talking about over here. That he told us that there are two things with the darkness over here, right? So that's the first one. And the next one, I gotta mute someone. Okay, fine. The next one is as follows. Hata'ut hashini, right? Because you remember, he told us there's two things that can happen in darkness. The first one is you can't see anything. The second one is you think you see something and you're actually seeing something else. So he says, Hata'ut hashini hu kashem min harishon. This one is worse. The second one, where you think you see something, is actually worse than when you don't see anything. Why? He says, Hu shemat'er yatam, right? It tricks you. Ad shiro'im hara ki'ilu hu mamash tov vehatov ki'ilu hu ra. It's a wild statement, right? He says the person thinks what he's doing is good, thinks what he sees that he did is good, and it's actually not. It's the opposite. Umitoch kach, what happens? Mithazkim umahazikim ma'aseh mara'im. You start to, you want to reinforce your actions because you think they're good, and what you're reinforcing is actually bad actions, bad habits. Why? It's bad enough that they don't see the truth, even though it's right in front of their face. וניסיונות מוכיחים לסברותיהם הרעות ולדעותיהם הכוזבות, והיא הרעה גדולה. שמע ישראל. How many times do we make excuses for ourselves? We start to say, and we start to, calculate, well, really, it wasn't so bad because, this happened and that happened. And we start making excuses, and we take something that we thought, we think we know that was bad, and we turn it into something good. It says, that's the second problem. Right? And that's the bigger problem, because again, when you did something wrong, you did something wrong, and there's a chance you can fix it. But if you don't think you did anything wrong, so why would you ever fix it? And certainly if you think you did something good, you're definitely not going to fix it. Okay. And that's what he's saying over here, because you think what you're doing is good. If you don't check into it and you don't look at, you don't really even take your good deeds off the scale and feel them, right? To make sure there's nothing in there that's really, doesn't belong, then we're going to be guilty of this issue over here. Okay. So he says, brings a person to lo alenu, right? The desolate, the pit, meaning Gehenna. Pasuk, Hashmen lev ha'am hazeh, fatten the hearts of these people. Ve'oznav hachbed, make their ears heavy, with their own ear. Ve'enav hasha, pen yir'eh be'enav, u'be'oznav yishma, u'lavo yavin v'shav v'rafalo. Right? Yeshayahu bringing pasuk, saying, when people, right, they sort of make themselves into this, status of, blinded and deaf, and they put themselves on this path of, my eyes can't see, my ears don't hear, because you know what? If for 1 second we really opened our eyes, or we really listened to the things that we say and what we did, right away, livavo yavin, your heart will understand. V'shav v'rafalo. Inside every one of us, we have a clock. We have like a scale. We know deep down inside what's right and what's wrong. We all do. Everybody's born that way. Okay. And what we do is, we try to, to block the scale from taking effect. So we make excuses. So your conscience doesn't attack you. Right. But the minute we really stop for a second and think about it, we would know what's right and what's wrong. And therefore, we would make teshuvah. He says, Ach otam, the people that have worked on themselves and removed these obstacles that the Yetzer Hara is placing in front of them, they can actually see the truth. They can now tell other people about what's going on around them and to help them. You know what he gives? It's a great example for this time of year. He says, this is similar to gan mevucha. You know, gan mevucha is? That for us would be translated into a corn maze, right? Right, where they cut the pathways out, right? Vehu gan hanatua, it's planted. Let's talk for fun. Hayadua etzel hasarim. They used to do that in the officers and hashu people. They would have it in their backyard. Shanitiot asiot kotalim. They plant these bushes that are like walls. Ubenehem shvilim rabim. It's a maze, right? Nevuchim oravim kulam domim zelazeh. And every alleyway they all look the same. You can't tell where you're going, right? Ve'atachlit. Right? What's the purpose of this? There's a beautiful palace waiting in the middle of the maze. Right? There's beautiful food and drinks and everything's there. But you have to get there first. There's one path that gets the right way there, right? There might be more than one even. Some of them take you in the opposite direction, away into dead ends, back to the beginning, start again. Right? When you're on the path, inside the maze, you don't know if you're on the right path or not. You have no clue. You don't know. Should I make a right? Should I make a left? Am I going forward? Going backwards? Where am I? They all look the same. The only one that can really know is someone that actually got to the middle first, was able to determine along the way the exact path, things that he could recognize, some kind of hints along the way, and he knows where it is. that guy who omid kvar al achsadra, he's already there in the middle. He knows exactly which way to go. He knows the right way, the wrong way. He's the only guy that could scream out to the people that are on the path and tell them, hey, you're on the right path. You're on the wrong path, right? He could call out to you. A person who listens to that voice that's calling from the achsadra, right, from the palace in the middle, and tells him, hey, go that way. And if you believe that guy and he's leading you the right way, so you're good, you're going to enter the right place. But if you don't want to listen to him, I'm going to follow my own eyes, my own mind. Now, maybe you'll happen maybe once in a while, you might find it, but most likely ain't going to happen. So he says, Ken hadavar. So too is this idea, the person who doesn't have control over his Yetzer Hara yet. That's the guy that's inside the maze. He doesn't know where you're going. The people that are controlling their Yetzer Kvar, because they went through this process of weighing their actions and recalculating and pulling the good deeds off the scale and feeling those, right? And they found now they've able to purify themselves. They're in the middle now. They clear very clearly. Then they can give advice to those that want to listen. And we have to listen to those people. Omnam, you know what they tell us? Bo cheshbon. They're screaming from the middle of the palace. You better start calculating. Bo nehashev hashbono shel olam. You better start figuring out while you're here. Ki kvar hem nis'u v'ra'u v'yad'u. They've already done it, and they can tell you shezeh levado u'haderech ha'amiti la'agia ha'adam el ha'tova asher hu mevakesh. They are the ones that will tell you that the only way to get there is this way. There is no other way. They've done it. They went through the problems. They've already beat us to it. It's like Sha'al avicha v'yagetcha zekenecha v'yom. They'll tell you. People that went through the experience can tell you what it's about. And therefore, the person who is telling you, "Hey, you want to fix yourself? This is how you got to do it," because they know they've done it already. Says, what I'm going to wrap up, we're going to wrap up this chapter right now. And he's telling you, what I said so far is, you better sit down, mark your calendar. You have to have a fixed time when you're alone to start to think about your actions and do it on a constant basis or a fixed basis. What should a person be doing here? Then you could start to investigate your actions. Are you following along the path to get to the goal? If that's the way to do it, you'll be able to purify from all badness, to straighten out your ways. Like the pasuk says. We'll wrap up with this. Pasuk says, Pales, where is it? There we go. Pales ma'agal raglecha, straighten out the steps, the way you going. You'll always be walking on a straight path. We're going to investigate our ways. We're going to check them. Going to look into them. Ad Hashem. We will return back to Hashem. It's a good message for Aset Yemei Teshuvah. Tishkulu Yesharim Rabot Neimot Betavot. Wishing you all a beautiful day, and Gmar Hatima Tova will continue next week. Be'ezrat Hashem. Kol Tuv Hatzlacha.